the fact that you, when you were talking to this guy and you knew this was a scam, what were you thinking?
That I want to be as realistic as possible, not to get him PO'd, and not to give him any clue. So I was very careful about what I was saying and doing, and try to make it as real as possible.
And this had to be kind of interesting for you to know what this guy was doing.
It was very interesting. I've never been involved with anything like this before. I'm a retired attorney, and it's very different. Now I'm doing this kind of work now, and it was very important that this man gets caught. And whether he's proved guilty in a court of law, personally, I think all the evidence is there, but I'm not a jury. But it was very important. He had just scammed a friend of ours for a lot of money. Would you like me to mention how?
Yeah, how did that occur?
A friend of ours who lives here in Timber Pines, very recently widowed, got a cold call. An air conditioning company said they can come and do some kind of cleaning kind of work, and a special, $44.95. So she never had to handle any of this before, so she said, okay, come in. So he came and he looked, and he said, very sorry to tell you, but you've got some real problems here. A UV light and other things, and it came out to $2,350. She, not knowing what's real and what's not, let him take her credit card, and he swiped it, and that's what she was stuck with. And we tried to call, she tried to call the credit card company to get that withdrawn, and they wouldn't, because it's not a fraud. She didn't lose her credit card. This was just a dispute.
So until you get to the next step.
So they would not do anything for her. So then I called up, and I really spent quite a bit of time with the company, but their procedure is, this is not fraud, this is a dispute. And so she was out until it's proven that there was something more than that. And it was at that time that I think my friend, I'm not sure of the sequence, but she called a reputable company, and they came and they said, well, the air conditioner was only 4 years old and didn't think it probably needed anything. But clearly that UV light was like around $250. And even if someone charged her $100 to install it, it's $350. It's not $2,350. For another $1,000 or so, she could have gotten a whole new air conditioner. So at that point, I believe, I'm not sure of the consequences, called the sheriff's office. And he said that he had heard a lot about this particular company, and he would like to talk further about it. And he also called in the reputable company, because he said that this company had been using his name. Didn't in this case, but had been using his name. He really wanted to see justice done with this particular company.
And what was the laundry list of things that he gave you that were supposedly wrong with your air conditioner?
Some of it just sounded crazy to me, but I'm not an engineer, so it sounded crazy, but I was taking everything down. I took notes down besides what was recorded. He said that the air was coming in from the electric, and it's not supposed to come in from the electric. It's supposed to come in from the outside. Then he said that the coils were broken. The coils would have to be replaced. All the ducts were blocked up, or they would have to be unblocked. Then he said it was leaking Freon. It needed Freon, and that's all I remember for right now. I'd have to look at my notes to see anything further.
But this is a fairly new air conditioner, wasn't it?
It's not even 4 years old. So, and it's still under warranty for some parts. At that point, he said that it didn't pay to do the cleaning at that point for the $44.95, but he would call his brother, and his brother does it off the books. If it went through his company, it would be $14.95, and quote, I don't mean $14.99, I mean $1,499. And, but if you have my brother do it, because he's not employed now, it would be $500. And I said, okay, and he wanted to schedule it for the next day. But Sergeant Kraft needed time to set this up, and they needed time for the cameras and everything else. So the only day that was really good would be the following week. That was good for all of us, because I had things that I had that week. Well, I got phone calls from this person giving me the hardest sell I have ever experienced in my life to get it done right away. So I gave him a story about why I couldn't do it then, and he wasn't taking no for an answer, and I just said, that's it. You know, it's either yes or no. So he said, okay, and he originally scheduled it for Monday. And Monday, he couldn't do it. I called him when it was getting time, and then he said, no, he wanted to do it on Tuesday. Well, that was fine. It gave everyone time to hook up the cameras and everything else. And that was on Tuesday was the day. And then he found other things wrong. Either he forgot what he originally told me, or he added things on. I had gotten there early, and it was chilly in the house, because the last time I was there was on Friday, when my whole air conditioner was checked to make sure everything was good. So anything that he said he was going to repair, they knew if it was good beforehand. And everything checked out on that day, and it was in perfect condition. And then he told me that on that Tuesday, when I got there on Tuesday, it was chilly in the house, so I turned up the thermostat, and it clicked on immediately. So it started getting warm immediately. I made a cup of tea to make it look like I'm living there. I opened some crackers and put it around, and then they came. Everything was set up. They had the cameras. They had everything. Everything was set up. And the first thing he kind of said to me was that it wasn't turning on. Something major that's wrong here. It's just not turning on. And then he looked at the other stuff. It needed this, it needed that. Like I said, I'm not sure if you remember what he told me the first time. But we had people in the house. We had already set up if I felt in danger. We had a code word that I would say where somebody would come out and help. We had a code word where just before I had to pay, where I would say the word and they would come in. So everything was all set up, and I felt kind of, comfortable with that. He also said, which was very interesting, he made a big point of saying that this was not done through the company, and we couldn't let the company know because he would get fired. And so I wasn't to tell his company. He's doing me a big favor, saving me a lot of money, because if I went through the company, he would be doing the same thing, but it would cost a lot more.
And you never wrote him a check, right?
No.
Okay.
Oh, he didn't want a check. He had told me before we started this whole thing, cash. He only wanted cash.
Wow.
So, yeah. And this whole thing got started when we met with Kraft and a couple of people from Timber Pines. And my husband, who's a private investigator, Avery Agency, he's the one who suggested this thing. And they jumped on it when he told them that we had this house that was available.
All the pieces were there.
And,
timing was right.
Right. And I was very comfortable doing that. I mean, after standing in front of judges in New York, nothing is intimidating. So that was fine with me, and it went very, very quickly.